Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be setting up my December bullet journal spreads, and this video is very late. One of these days I will actually get a bullet journal video out before the month actually starts, but this was not that month. We'll be using these tea stain papers and this blue scrapbook paper that I've had in my stash for ages now, that I've been saving for something special. I'll also be using this Elmer's regular old school glue as well as this crafter's tape. And of course my Zebra Sarasa vintage ink pens, which I absolutely love. And what is left of my washi tape stash. I really need to get some more washi tape sometime soon. And if for those wondering, this is the package that those came in, and if you are curious about anything that I'm using, including the bullet journal itself, I'll have all the products listed in the description below. So a lot of times there's not rhyme or reason as to how I place things on my bullet journal. I just kind of like to line it up until it looks right. Like the corner of this scrapbook paper didn't quite line up how I wanted to fit it on the page. I wanted that top kind of bluebell looking flower to stay on the entire page, so I just kind of scooched it down and came up with this interesting hack of using an old scrap from a previous cutout on this bullet journal to make sure that I cut the page in a way that would line up with the bullet journal, which is a lot easier than cutting it after it's already glued in. I've accidentally cut pages a lot after just gluing it to the page, so I really like this little hack, and I'm definitely going to be using it a lot more in the future. I also really like this crafter's tape. It does make things easier. The only thing is I tend to use a lot of it, and it tends to go very fast, and this stuff is more on the expensive side than, say, like the Elmer's school glue that I normally use. So I kind of use it sparingly. Every time I use it, I'm reminded of why I love it, but every time I use it and I come close to using up a full roll of it, then I remember that's why I typically stick with the school glue. So since it is December, I went with very frosty blues as the color scheme, and even though it never snows where I live, it has gotten very chilly over the last couple weeks, and so the frost theme really does fit well. From about May of this year has been the first time where I've consistently made a bullet journal spread for each month, and I've used at least a variation of the same font for every month, and it's interesting to see how it's evolved over that time. I'm an artist. I a lot of times will shy away from doing lettering because to me it has to be so precise. But this has really been a way where I can kind of loosen up about that, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And I've been kind of teaching myself to be okay with that. And when thinking about a quote for this month, I had to go with Once Upon a December, a quote from the song Once Upon a December, which if you are a 90s kid, if you listened to the Broadway version of Anastasia, any version of the musical Anastasia, you know this song. It gets stuck in my head every single December, and not just because I sang it at a wedding when I was like 9 in December, but yeah. So at this point, I was starting to worry that I had placed the December 2022 in the wrong spot and that it was going to be very hard to make it look finished and complete, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, I went to my go-to, my washi tape, putting it in spots that looks nice to me, which is probably why I am running so low on washi tape. It did dress it up, but it wasn't enough to where it was like, yes, this is finished. So I started drawing and doodling and kind of was trying to copy a little bit of the style from the scrapbook paper, that kind of old-fashioned engraving style of drawing where there's lots of cross-hatching, but I also wanted it to be simple to do and not very complicated, which, you know, is a conundrum. And also tried my hand at drawing the bluebell type flowers. And I still just looked really plain to me, like it just wasn't finished. So I started thinking about frost in December and thought about frost on windows. So I started drawing random crosshatch lines to kind of look like frost. And I thought about now that I had absolutely ruined this whole spread. And was like, okay, well, forget that. I'm gonna do some swirlies that are kind of, you know, my go-to for decorating anything. And I was like, no, this is making it worse. What do I do? What do I do? So I just kind of embraced the chaos and continued the cross-hatching. And I can't say that it really looks like frost or really translates into like frost in the end, but overall, it became something I could live with and something that I don't feel like I ruined in the end, at least. And so now that that is finished, I can move on to my monthly calendar. Is it just me, or did this year go by very fast? It seems like 2021 just barely started. It has been an eventful year. My channel has received more views and more subscribers than it has in the past 3 years that I've been on YouTube. You guys have really inspired me to post more often and to put more effort into this channel. So I really appreciate that, and thank you so much. The last few spreads that I've made for the past few months were fairly complicated, and I wanted something a bit more simple for December. So I didn't really put as much effort into it in terms of like cutting things out or adding drawings. I just really wanted it to be a more chill, more laid back kind of thing, especially with after October and November being such labor-intensive spreads. I wanted something that was just a bit more of a breather from those. And now on to the content planner, in the vague hopes that I will become actually organized in how I post my content. I can't say that this has worked. And that is probably why the content planner is always the lowest effort I put into any of these spreads. But hopefully one of these days I will actually get organized. This is always actually an incentive for me to get organized. Has it ever worked? Not really. Usually I only write down one or two things. A lot of times when I post something, it is very spur of the moment, but here's hoping that one of these days I will actually plan things out a bit better. And now moving on to the section that is honestly one of my favorite sections to do, but I always dread it every time I have to do that, and that is my rolling weekly planner. I say I dread it because it involves a lot of measuring and math and counting the little boxes, which is... I always dread it, and then it always takes a lot less time than I think it will, but it's always worth it in the end because it is kind of a little box where I can make a daily checklist of things that I need to get done during the day, and I think it has really helped me to be more organized in, my day-to-day life and keeping myself accountable for the things that I need to get done. And it's very satisfying to check things off of a checklist, even if maybe you have to write down something you just finished for the sheer pleasure of checking it off. So lately, I've been putting a lot more effort into the tabs of my rolling weekly. I've been trying to measure them out and fit them better to the pages that I have. It just looks more aesthetically pleasing to me. And another hack I discovered while making this video was something I should have thought of months ago, but that is making a template out of the leftover dotted paper that I cut out of the rolling weekly, and making it so that I can just then trace the shape onto whatever paper I want to then put on the tabs. And it really, I feel kind of dumb not realizing that I could have been doing this for the last several months. But you live and learn, and I found this hack, and it has made things so much easier. And of course, this section was just a little too plain, so I had to bring in some of the cross-hatching, doodling, and some washi tape to dress it up a bit. So this section, I believe, is one that I haven't actually filmed before. I have been trying to get better about drinking water consistently. For a few months, I've been trying to do a water tracker. The past couple months, I wasn't really great about keeping up with it, but I resolved this month I'm gonna get better about it. I'm gonna drink more water, and I'm going to track how much water I drink. Each of the drops that I put on for each day represents a 24-ounce cup that I drink water out of. So that tells me about how much I'm drinking in a day. I'm not gonna lie, now that it's colder, drinking water, cold water, is harder to do. It's not appealing, especially when it's cold out. But I am gonna try really hard this month to be better about drinking water. And this is also a new page. I've wanted to do like a currently listening to or reading or something kind of page, and I haven't really been doing it consistently. Usually there's nothing new that I'm listening to, or with reading it's kind of chaotic, so I don't always write it down, or I've already moved on to something else. But I decided that I would, go ahead and write down the books that I'm either reading or planning to read. One of them I've been reading for a while, so I wanted to make a list and just have it be something that I can check and refer back to. And listening to, I tend to be a creature of habit whenever I'm listening to music. A lot of times the same songs will live on my playlists for months, if not years. I still have a lot of Taylor Swift songs from her most recent album stuck in my head. And I wrote down a couple new songs that I discovered the other day while I was cooking in the kitchen. And I was just like, oh, I need to remember to save these songs, so... And looking at this list now, it is a bit random, but I am nothing if not a random sort of person at times. And now, the final reveal. Overall, I'm very happy with how this month's spreads turned out. Do you have the song Once Upon a December stuck in your head currently? Do you like the aesthetic that I created in this video? Let me know.